The war with Russia is entering a protracted phase. People switch from a few more days and everything will be over mindset into a condition of long struggle and learn to live in new realities. Ukrainians are accustomed to daily air alerts. Rocket fire is threatening. News sometimes creates a feeling of uncertainty. But we must continue to work and sow a garden because it won't do it on its own. This is UA, the day that we survived. Ukrainian journalists have come together to create it with real people who record themselves and send us their recordings. In this episode, we talk about women who have fled their homes to relatively safe cities. In order to keep fit and communicate, they come together and support each other. Olena from Kramatorsk is a Nordic walking coach and rehabilitation specialist. She and her children had been living under fire for several weeks and had doubts about evacuating. Kramatorsk is an industrial city in eastern Ukraine, located a few kilometers from the temporarily occupied territories. The woman took 2 children and her niece and moved to central Ukraine, to the small town of Христянівка.
Я приїхала з міста Краматорськ, це Донецька область.
I came from Kramatorsk, Donetsk region. It's been a month already since we left. Local authorities asked us to leave because the fighting was approaching from Kharkiv and Izum.
Зараз саме цими днями відбуваються такі точечні.
Kramatorsk and nearby town are bombed. On the day before yesterday, a bomb fell about 200 meters away from my house.
Просто впала вже бомба в 200 метрах десь.
Olena spends most of her time arranging living and cooking for a large family. In a local Facebook group, she wrote that she would train people twice a week at a local stadium for free. 5-6 people came to the first class. People began to order walking poles, and the Ukrainian Nordic Walking Federation supported such an initiative and sent them 5 pairs of walking poles.
Бо і в гарні часи фізична активність допомагає підтримувати.
Even during the good times, physical activity helps maintain a high quality of life, mental and physical health. And now it is like a medical prescription.
At the time of the full-scale invasion, Olena's children were in Mariupol.
По-перше, в мене діти були на початок війни, знаходилися 2 в Маріуполі, вони були в...
In the beginning of the war, my children stayed in Mariupol in an orthopedic sanatorium. They were supposed to be there until mid-March. The government funded their stay here, so I drove them on February 14, and on the 24th I have to drive and take them away as an emergency. We drove past Volnovakha at the border of Zaporizhia region. We spent 5 weeks with our parents in the town of Konstantinivka near Kramatorsk. In 2014, there was no active combat, so we decided that it would be safer for us to be there, but events unfold in a different way as they did. In 5 weeks, we have to left that area. My parents and my brother stayed behind.
The woman was able to accept that the life of the country had changed without a hitch. There will be no life like before anymore.
Власне, я намагаюся не углублюватися в увесь цей страшний трагізм.
I try not to delve into the strategy because it's so scary. It's so devastating to my psyche that I just can't afford thinking about it because I have kids and I need to keep myself steady on at least some level of being ok. We are all waiting for victory, but everything that happened has already changed our lives. I'm not going to have the same people at work to talk to. People fled to Europe or to different places at Ukraine. I understand for sure that everything has changed and we need to adapt somehow to these conditions so as not to fail into the pit of depression.
просто не впасти в яму депресії. Бо я розумію, я бачу по своїм знайомим, хто більш такий, емоційно до цього схильний.
I see from my acquaintances that the one who is more emotionally inclined to this, who has anxiety because they want to return to their past life, but it is impossible and it hurts even more than being in actual physical danger. Maybe while I was with my parents for the first 5 weeks, some kind of emotional separation from that life had happened with me. It was also very difficult, but here I can already partially fulfill myself as an instructor. I can talk to people and help. Plus, I'm busy with everyday life.
Допомога, плюс я зайнята цим побутом, коли руки зайняті, воно легше, чим просто сидіти і бути паралізованому від страху і тривоги, від того, що відбувається. Я чекаю перемогу, я вірю в краще.
When heads are busy, everything seems better rather than being paralyzed with fear and anxiety. I expect victory. I believe in it, but I understand that everything is in God's will. I do what I can, baby steps every day, and generate positive outcome and help others to keep themselves as a certain state for the so-called normal life.
В лапках нормального життя, яке воно може бути зараз.
Olena holds class at 7 a.m. at the local stadium.
Добрий ранок, починаємо наше тренування. І з ним вишиванки всіх. Збираємося на палиці і робимо рухи стегнами по колу в один бік. Раз, два, 3, 4, 5, 6. Більше такий робимо коло. Коліна не згинаються. І в інший бік. 8, 7, 6.
Among those who come to classes are also displaced persons. Valentina arrived in central Ukraine from Mykolaiv. Her husband, who works as a military doctor, remained there.
Під час війни постраждала квартира матері, там, де ми проживали тимчасово.
My mother's flat where we lived got damaged, so we had to leave. We went to our village of Hristynivka because I lived here and I'm originally from here. My relatives took me in. It was very hard at the beginning. I was very stressed. You know, life fell to the bottom and I did not want to live or work. I didn't want anything. Nothing at all. After some time, I began to communicate with good friends of mine. I noticed a post about training on a Facebook, make a screenshot, and wrote to Alana. She offered me to join her in the trainings. Later on, we ordered walking poles, and now life begins anew and much better. Stress was relieved a little. Anyway, my soul is here. I want to go home, to my house, no matter what. But thanks to a coach, friend who gave a breath of life, we continue to live. The war will end, and the victory will be ours. In Mykolaiv, I used to work at Admiral Makarov National University of Shipbuilding. Now I got fired because I left the city, so I can't work anymore. I'm really scared of bombing. Really scared. We had been living in the shelter for a week, but my mother is sick, so we decided to move to Hristynivka, where we lived before.
The woman still cannot believe that the Russians went to her country with such a brutal war.
Мій чоловік військовий лікар, хірург, зараз працює в Миколаєві день і ніч.
My husband is a military doctor, a surgeon. Now he works in Mykolaiv day and night. We heard an explosion at 4:14 a.m. My husband said that it was a training on the military field, but after that many friends started to call and said that the war has started. Such a huge horror. And then a completely different life has begun. We evacuated a lot of things. It became clear that life is the most important thing, and peace. I want to live and to create. We used to complain about our jobs. We used to want more days off. But now, I would prefer to work. If only the sun shines and the people stay alive. I wish no one had to feel that fear. My friend called me in the first day of the war and invited to come over because Russians started bombing Mykolaiv then. I said no. I didn't want to leave my husband and I decided to stay here. But then everything's turned out dramatically. Sleepless nights, fear of rumbling, shootings, people die. On 13th of March, our neighborhood come under artillery, and 9 people died. They were standing in line for food near the supermarket. The rocket split it head out house, and it was when we were completely terrified. Then we moved to the dormitory of our university. We had been living in the basement for a week. Then we decided that we can't live like this anymore. You can't sleep, you can't live at all. It's just fear, and you can't understand what is going on with you. At first I thought about sending my family to the village. My mother, my knee, and my mom. She is sick. And I supposed it to stay here with my husband and continue working. We even found me a job in a hospital. But then he decided that I also had to go, to rest a little, to distract myself. My husband is a military person, and he used to war. He was in ATO. He served in the UN mission in Africa. He's used to do it, but I'm not. It always most scary for a woman. There are also women on the front line. Honor and praise to them. I'm bowing into all the people who defended our country.
Sport distracts and motivates Valentina.
It's possible to get distracted from everything that's going on. One day I came here in the morning. Elena was not here yet. I came very early, at 6:45 a.m. The birds were singing, the sun was shining, dew was glistening on the grass, and you can't believe that somewhere there were explosion, and our men and children died. It's impossible to grasp. Here is one life, there is quite another. Also, it is all on our lands, in our state.
Valentina is 58 years old. All her life she has been playing sports and keeping fit. What can she advise other displaced people who find themselves in the same situation?
Of course, we shouldn't lose our spirit. We have to go on. We have to keep on living and rebuild our country after such a horrible war. We have to hold on because panic is the worst now. Panic leads to losing our health, and then neither work or life will be pleasant. So we have to get grip and live on. And thank you very much, Olenka. Without you, I would have no one to train. We are connected. I went for a walk yesterday. I walk very often when there is no trainings. I try to walk 10-12 kilometers per day. I go to the shops and tell the girls that there is free trainings available. You just make a goal to come and train. I used to do yoga because it's more for my age group. I don't like fast movements. That is why I like fly yoga or yoga in a hammock. And for these 2 months, I thought I can't go out without sport. Fortunately, this announcement came in, so we joined to raise our spirit and strengthen our immune system. We live on and enjoy life. All is temporary, and all will be fine. Victory will be ours.
Піднімаємо свій дух і укріпляємо свій імунітет, і живемо далі. І радіємо життю. Все це тимчасове, і все буде добре. Перемога буде тільки за нами.
Many displaced people have no place to return, and it is very important for these people to build their lives further. No matter how difficult it may be, find new housing, work, adapt to new circumstances. It is also important to take care of your psychological health, well-being, and socialization. These all emotionally motivating things are so needed in difficult times, as well as the belief in victory, in the armed forces, in everything good and important.